Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Ezra Productions, the series that helps games to transcend the world of video gaming. Today, we're going to talk about Nintendo platformer Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Now, let me just come out and say that this is one of my personal favorite games of all time, and easily among the best 2D platforming games of the past decade. Its ability to bring so much new life into an already steady framework brought about by its predecessor, Donkey Kong Country Returns, is outright astounding. From the unending bounty of level gimmicks, to the seemingly effortless world building, to the immaculate soundtrack. There are many reasons why I consider this game one of the industry's modern, underappreciated gems. Certainly, each one of these aspects of the game warrants an entire video in and of itself, and there already exists numerous videos that do just that. However, I'm going to posit a different look, a different perspective. It is my belief that nearly every component, every world, every level of Tropical Freeze that makes the game so compelling is in part driven by one key factor: the storytelling. Heck, I'll even say that Tropical Freeze tells stories so brilliantly that, as a whole, it serves as a natural integration of two literary genres: the Anthology series and the Victorian novel. Now that sounds like a bold claim, and believe me, I know. But upon closer inspection of literary history, the game's structure and progression, and the differentiating factors between Tropical Freeze and other platformers, this idea might not be as bizarre as you initially think. But to get there, I've got some explaining to do. First, some background. In the world of literature, an anthology, by its simplest definition, is a collection of literary works, whether that be short stories, poetry, what have you. The word itself, first used in the 17th century, comes from the Greek word anthologia, or flower gathering. The genre didn't become prevalent in literature until relatively recently, the 20th century in fact, when it became a popular way to compile modern poetry, and a lot of times doing so between multiple authors. Now this stuff isn't important by itself, it's just context for how this genre would evolve into the Anthology series. Now an Anthology series, most often associated with radio and TV, would take the anthological format of modern literature and add a key expansion that would allow the genre to garner its own artistic merit. Rather than merely compiling miniature stories together for the sake of publishing convenience, some of the most iconic Anthology series tied their separate worlds and stories together via a common ethos. You've probably seen, or at least heard of, some of these series for yourself. The Twilight Zone, American Horror Story, Goosebumps. Keep that in the back of your mind if you can, because we're gonna go back a few centuries to discuss our second literary genre, the novel. Now, English novels, having evolved from the novella, the genre title given to many stories of the medieval period, became popular among a growing middle class during the 18th century due to its ability to capture the circumstances of middle-class characters. Popular examples of this include Robinson Crusoe, Pride and Prejudice, and a whole bunch of other novels you probably had to read in high school. It wouldn't become the dominant literary genre until Sir Walter Scott came along during the Victorian period and serialized his 3-volume books into monthly increments. This was certainly more affordable for the general public, but more importantly, it left them constantly wanting more. The Norton Anthology of English Literature does a great job of summarizing the evolution of the novel during this period, saying the following: novels and long works of non-fiction prose were published in serial form. Readers, therefore, read these works in relatively short, discrete installments over a period that could extend more than a year. And it goes on to say, writers created a continuing world, punctuated by the ends of installments, which served to stimulate the curiosity that would keep readers buying subsequent issues. It is my guess that, even as the genre evolved throughout the 20th and 21st centuries into the multifaceted behemoth that it is now, and by extension became less serialized, in many ways, it still retained its sense of anticipation, chapter by chapter, page by page, hence the often spoken phrase of today's novels, the page-turner. So, with all that said, how exactly does Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, a 2D platforming game about a tie-wearing ape, have anything to do with these two literary genres? To answer that, we need to talk about the game's structure. Gameplay-wise, the main game consists of 6 separate islands, or worlds. Each island has a different theme, whether that be the Savannah Desert, an autumnal mountain, or an entire fruit factory, around 8 to 10 levels, each with their own unique mechanics, and a big boss baddie at the end. The overarching plot structure is even more bog standard for the 2D platformer. For those who haven't played the game, or may not have played it in a while, I'll give the gist. Donkey Kong and his crew, consisting of Diddy, Dixie, and Cranky Kong, are celebrating Donkey Kong's birthday when, seemingly out of nowhere, the big baddies of the game, the Snowmads, blow the Kongs into the air and then proceed to take over the island by covering it in frigid ice. The Kongs now have to spend the entire game island hopping like the US under General Douglas MacArthur during World War II to defeat the Snowmads and reclaim their island and those sweet, sweet bananas. Clearly, from this description, much like every other Nintendo platformer, the overarching story is not the priority. Rather, it's just an elaborate excuse to have Donkey Kong go somewhere. If that isn't it then what is? This is where the episodic nature of storytelling found in the anthology and the novel comes into play, as Tropical Freeze lends its storytelling prowess on a much smaller scale, level by level. In short, the game ensures that every level tells a story. Mark Brown has an excellent video on this exact idea, where he covers Super Mario 3D World and its adherence to the Gishu Tenketsu level design philosophy, as described by the game's director, Koichi Hayashida. You should definitely go check out that video for yourself if you haven't already, linked down in the description. But I'll do my best to summarize the relevant bits here. Gishu Tenketsu is a 4-part story arc used in Chinese poetry and other Eastern literary genres. Each level of 3D World follows this structure to teach brand new level design mechanics like this. 1. Gi, or Introduction, where the level's primary mechanic is introduced to the player through a simple exercise in a safe environment. 2. Shu, or Development, where the mechanic is developed and refined through increasingly more elaborate and difficult challenges. 3. Deng, or Twist, where the mechanic is brought to its peak intensity through one final challenge or series of challenges that put your knowledge to the final test. And 4. Getsu, or Conclusion, where the level dies down to present one last opportunity for a small reward or collectible before reaching the flagpole at the end. Put into a more Western context, a lot of this plot structure remains intact. Pulling out a basic plot diagram, the one that everyone had to learn about in junior high English class, Gi would be the exposition, Shu, the rising action, Deng, the climax, and Getsu, the falling action and resolution. Let's take a look at how World 5-2, Reckless Ride, would play out through this lens. The level starts out simply enough. You hop into a rocket barrel and go through some simple obstacles that set the scene. Dangling fruits, wooden structures, enemies, and a stream of fruit juice underneath you. All for the purpose of both acclimating you to the level theme and re-acclimating you to the rocket barrel mechanics. After a brief period of time, the main threat, or antagonist, a penguin controlling a giant wooden fruit-chopping robot, presents itself. From now on, throughout the level, this robot will inhibit your progress in any way it can, by chopping down wooden structures, shooting out enemies, swinging around its ghastly claws at you, the whole bit. All this tension escalates until the final, climactic moments where the penguin gets fed up with your troublesome meddling and starts destroying anything and everything in sight in a last attempt to end your progression. However, with these efforts comes one fatal oversight on the penguin's part. His heavy tunnel vision keeps him from seeing the brick wall right behind him, one that knocks the robot out of commission and ejects the penguin into the air. This brings the story to its natural falling action and resolution, as the penguin gets eaten by a vicious piranha plant creature, and Donkey Kong claims his barrel roulette prize. While the storytelling aspect of this stage is more apparent here than in most of the stages in the game, the overall point remains the same. For other examples, World 4-2 has you switching from rail to rail using the already established minecart mechanics in an increasingly dangerous underwater temple. World 3-1 centralizes everything around rhythm, in a celebration that rapidly becomes more joyful and bombastic, along with the ever-evolving background music. World 2-5 takes a unique approach by implementing a cloud barrier that separates the level's plot into two halves. Wherever you look, the storytelling that makes the game so compelling happens not at the macro level, but on a level-by-level level. Because of this, Tropical Freeze's levels can lend themselves to the Anthology series model, as the focus is purely on the level-to-level interaction, with the overarching plot holding next to no weight whatsoever. It's not a larger work, it's a series of smaller ones first and foremost, with the larger story providing the anthological ethos. And when you think about it, this makes a lot of sense. You aren't playing Mario, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Kirby, or any other platformer, for the most part, to see if Mario will save the princess, or if DK will reclaim his banana horde. You're playing them to see what the next mechanic is, how the game will surprise you in the next stage. You're in it for just one more level. In this regard, Tropical Freeze becomes a proverbial gaming page-turner, getting you hooked in the miniature scenarios that the game has to offer. But you may be asking yourself at this point, this sounds great, but how exactly does Tropical Freeze differentiate itself from other platformers? To a point, you're right. Certainly, games like 3D World and Yoshi's Woolly World, by virtue of using the same or similar design philosophies, should have the same storytelling capabilities, right? Well, not exactly. To see what I'm getting at here, let's do a simple thought experiment with 3D World real quick. Look at that platform, and ask yourself this question. What is that platform's place in the game's world? Pretty difficult to answer, isn't it? Now, obviously the platform does have a purpose in terms of the level design and progression, otherwise it wouldn't be in the game to begin with. Its purpose in the world, however, isn't so clear. In that regard, it's just a platform. Tropical Freeze, by contrast, takes another direction. While 3D World purposes its levels as solely obstacle courses, Tropical Freeze constructs its environments to feel organic, alive, as pieces of a larger whole. Every platform, enemy, environmental hazard, stage gimmick, what have you, has a dual purpose. That platform in World 1-1 doesn't just fall because you hopped on it, and the game wants to challenge you. It's falling because it's a piece of playing wreckage that, over time, has become rusted and decrepit from long-time wear and tear. Those leaves in World 2-3 aren't just there to force you to move quickly without falling into the pit below. They're leaves, falling from trees in an autumnal deciduous forest. World 3-4 houses a large-scale fire, both to have an excuse to put a fire level in the game, and to present a legitimate natural disaster that could be, well, disastrous for the Savannah biome. To tell a compelling, or at least memorable story, you need solid characters. Seeing as Tropical Freeze certainly isn't known for the complex character motivations behind DK aside from Get Back Island and Get Back Bananas from Big Daddy, the game has to look elsewhere. By necessity, then, the world becomes that character, hence why its role in the level design storytelling is so important. This is how Tropical Freeze differentiates itself from most other platformers. This leads us into a third, alternative storytelling tier that I've purposely failed to mention up until this point. In between the overarching story and the level-by-level stories rests the world-by-world or island-by-island tier. Just as every level tells its own episodic story, it could also be interpreted that every world does something similar. Each one follows the same plot structure that the levels do, some more obviously than others, and this manifests in a series of events that connects each of the levels in a single world. Look at the second island, Autumn Heights, for instance, which has Donkey Kong scaling a mountain based off the aesthetic and culture of Bavaria, Germany, facing increasingly precarious and grandiose obstacles on his way to face the Owl boss at the top. Glaring from the background, then, is the Owl Mountain lair that Donkey Kong is trying to reach, ever present in each of the island's main levels as the climactic finale to this episode in Donkey Kong's adventure. Through this lens, World 2-1, a relatively calm level, serves as exposition to accustom the player to this environment, with every level afterwards serving as rising action to steadily increase intensity up until the boss climax at the end. Perhaps the greatest example of this, however, is the 5th island in the game, and my personal favorite, Juicy Jungle. The entire island is one giant fruity assembly line, gathering fruit from the natural flora of the island and converting it into equally delicious fruit-flavored popsicles by the end. What's really cool about this is that every main level of the island displays a different step in that process. Claws pick the fruit in 5-1, which is then sliced into more manageable chunks in 5-2 and 5-3. The remaining fruit juice makes its way through 5-4 before being converted into a gelatin-like substance in 5-5. Finally, the gelatin is frozen and formed into the shape of a popsicle in 5-6. Each level in this process holds its own unique gameplay-backed story arc, while also contributing to the larger assembly line that this fruity factory necessitates. Alongside this, certain levels directly tie into one another, meaning that what happens in one stage affects the next. The lightning that strikes in 3-3 ignites the Savannah fire in 3-4. The fish caught and sorted en masse in 3-5 are later shot in droves at you in 3-6. The deciduous forest in 2-3 is cut down for wood for the sawmill in 2-4, and so on. Each of these interlevel ties, combined with the larger progression of each world, resembles the serial novels of the Victorian period, as each level has you wondering what new mechanic the island will throw at you next, just as the end of a chapter had you greatly anticipating what would happen next in the greater novel narrative. The difference, however, is that for Tropical Freeze, all of this is accomplished purely through environmental subtext, without saying a word. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that this is the definitive lens that people should play Tropical Freeze through. Heck, I'm not even claiming that this style of storytelling is what the developers themselves intended. All I'm saying is that the similarities between Tropical Freeze and its contemporaries in the literary space might illuminate storytelling possibilities that people might not have seen before. It is far-fetched, sure, I'll give you that. But is it intriguing nonetheless? Absolutely. So the next time you go romping through the colorful worlds of Nintendo, just take a moment to reflect on what narrative the game might be trying to tell.